Hey friends, welcome back to Daily Sews and Stuff. This is the exciting week where we get to learn how to digitally alter patterns. Now, I was going to do a bunch of stuff in this video, and then I decided a lot of my videos have been really long, and I don't really want this one to be another 25-minute video. So I'm going to break things down, and this week we're going to focus on height adjustments that you can do within Adobe to digitally alter your pattern and make it fit your body. We'll do some other alterations like grading between sizes in future videos, but I promise they're coming. I am so excited for this subject. I have recorded some things on my computer where you will see just the computer screen and hear my voice, and there's some ways that you can do it while sitting at your computer. And then my favorite way to do it, using your projection and altering things on this projected image. That lets you see it in more real life. It's a lot closer to altering a paper pattern. I'll actually use my rulers and things like that to get the right spots. When you do it digitally, as you'll see in just a few minutes, you're not really doing it in life size, and you're relying on the digital tools to do your measurements for you. So this is my preferred way to do it, but I'm definitely going to show you both ways because both of them have pros and cons, and you can decide which way you like yourself. I also added a crazy situation where I took a car mount my husband had in his truck for his phone that he wasn't using anymore, and I mounted it to my ceiling. And so hopefully this works out. I plan to put my phone up there and do some more shots so you can truly see what I am doing and what I'm working on. I am working on the peg legs add-ons from Patterns for Pirates. We talked about this in several different videos. I used this as an example. It is the one that I show you how to download in the first video, and it is a free pattern. Go download it yourself, and while you're there, look around because Patterns for Pirates has some great patterns. Speaking of which, my me made today, I'm a little fancier than usual, but this is a Ellie and Mac South Shore romper. It's out of a rayon spandex from Joann's. There's not going to be a link for that, but I will link the pattern itself. And that will be an affiliate link, which will kick back a little bit of money to me so that I can keep doing this. If you have not subscribed, please do. When I'm making this video, I am up to 70 subscribers. If we can get another 30 subscribers, I can actually have a real URL that will say Daily Sews and Stuff instead of the letters and numbers and mismatch that it is now. So I'm excited about that milestone, and I'd like to hit that. So let's get started. I am starting with the assumption that you've done this on paper before and you don't need explicit instructions on how to actually do this alteration itself, just on how to do it digitally. Hopefully it will be clear for anybody, but if you are having trouble following, please leave a question in the comments and I can either point you to some other resources or I can explain the best that I know how. In order to get this digital alteration done, you're going to need to open two files. Occasionally, it'll be the same file. Little Lizard King has been putting their projector files in with their tutorial files, but most companies, you're going to download either the AO or projector file. Projector is preferable if they have it, but you also need the tutorial, which usually comes in the letter file. So starting here with my tutorial page where I've got my size charts, I'm just going to pick a size and work with that since I'm only talking about a height adjustment in this video. However, I will have a video in the future about how to grade between two sizes. I'm going to assume that I'm a double XL for the purposes of this video. Unfortunately, the program that I use to record my screen for the purposes of this video doesn't show a menu. Whether you're clicking on File up at the top or you're right-clicking to bring up that menu, it just won't show. So hopefully you'll be able to get the idea anytime that I bring up a menu between my words and what you can see the mouse doing. In the future, I will try to use a better program. If you have any suggestions for that, please leave it in the comments. And now back to the show. I am going to open up this comment tool from the right toolbar, which will drop down a new toolbar from the top. And the first thing I'm going to do is grab the highlighter. Right here, I could change the color. This is really helpful whenever, say, I'm doing something for both my girls and I want to do one girl, the youngest, usually in this
kind of teal. And then the middle child, I usually do in this purple right here. We kind of have a color code thing going on for them, and it helps me keep track of things. But for myself, I usually leave this default yellow. So I'm going to highlight double XL right there because that's going to be the size base that I'm working off of, and that helps me remember and keep track of that. Patterns for Pirates will allow you to save all of these annotations and highlights and lines that we are adding to the pattern. Not all companies will, but I love that Patterns for Pirates lets you do that because it is so helpful in saving it and coming back and not having to do this again. So I'm highlighting my size. That way, if I come back tomorrow to look at this, I can remember, oh yeah, that's the size that I was working off of. And I'm also going to highlight it here in the finished measurements charts. I know that my inseam to my ankle is 26 inches. That's going to be a problem here. So I'm going to add a comment. When I click on this tool right here, it gives me this little comment stamp. And I'm going to stick it right there. And I'm going to type 26 inches. So from now on, I'll just see this little sticky note here. And if I hover over it with my mouse, it'll kind of open it up and tell me what it says down there. And I can also see it in this toolbar. The other way I can take care of this is by adding a text box. This also gives me a different kind of stamp tool. And I can click right there and I can type 26 inches. And if I want to, here, let me click off of it. And then I can move it around. I can put it right smack dab over the middle of the other one, or I can kind of put it off to the side. I am going to make it smaller, and I'm going to put it off to the side right here. I'm going to do it for Capri also. So I'm going to make a new text box, stamp it down here, and I'm going to write 19. I believe I used 19.5 inches if I can remember correctly. So I'm going to put that there. And then one more time at the bike, I'm going to want to make that smaller. And I'm going to take off the full 2 inches there. So when it comes to shorties, I am going to actually add length because first of all, you can't really take 2 inches away from 2 inches. And second of all, those are very, very short. And I would rather have a little bit longer length that I feel comfortable wearing when I'm working out at the gym or chasing my kids around, etc., etc. So I'm actually going to go for 5 inches here. I'm going to add length to this one. And I'm going to type that in. Adjust that box right there. And there we go. So now I have all of my lengths, all of my inseam lengths marked how I'm going to adjust them. There's not a finished measurement chart for the rise of these pants. I can generally know that I'm going to need probably 2 inches off of a rise. So I am going to click over here to the AO file. And there's a lot of stuff going on here. So the first thing I am going to do is take off all of these sizes that I will not need in order to do this alteration for my size only. I'm going to close that up so I have as much space to work with. My comment toolbar is still open, which is perfect. I'm going to need that. And now I can see, if I scroll, all the pattern pieces that I'm going to need. One of the first things that I like to do is to go ahead and highlight the pieces that I know I'm going to need and generally draw an X or a scribble over the pieces that I won't be needing because that helps me, especially if I'm doing this like I am today where I'm planning this out on my computer and I'm going to cut it out at a different time. I want to be able to remember what my plan was. And like I said, Patterns for Pirates will let you save the file with your annotations and marks and everything, but you can also go back and delete those later. Like this time, I know that I'm going to need the low rise, but if another time I was going to do the high rise, I could just come back, right click, delete that, and highlight the high rise. So I'm going to highlight low rise on all 3 of these. I know that I'm going to need the front piece. I also like to do cut to mirror, just as little reminders for myself. Side piece cut to mirror. Now, one of the things that can be nice about a projector file that would be different than this AO file, when a designer creates an AO file, their whole purpose is to fit as much of the pattern, possibly hopefully all of the pattern, on one sheet of AO paper, which means they're going to kind of fuss with things until they all fit just so, and they don't have to worry about how it's laid out because you're going to cut this out before laying it on your fabric. When a designer makes a projector file, what we would like them to do, and most of them are doing this, is line things up in such a way that we have everything in the same direction, so that we won't be having to rotate our fabric or rotate our screen when we're cutting out. So you'll notice this contour waistband, I'm going to have to rotate my screen in order to use that one. This contour waistband, same thing. If I were using this one, I'd have to rotate it. If I was using this one, I wouldn't be able to rotate my screen to make that correct. I would have to move my fabric in order to make it correct. I can also zoom in and go ahead and say that I'm going to need the side pocket panel bands and what I need to cut out there, and the pocket for waistbands. I am going to use the contour waistband, so I don't need either of these, and I don't need that one. I'm going to go ahead, and highlight the shorties, because that's what I'm going to end up cutting in a little bit. So since I want to take 2 inches total off the rise, my plan is to take 1 inch off the rise here and 1 inch off the waistbands. I want to split that between those two. 2 inches is a really big chunk to take out of something height-wise. So I don't want to do it all in one place. I want to be able to split it between the waistband and the rise, the crotch rise of the pants. For adding length to the shorties, I'm not actually going to adjust it much because there's not going to be a huge difference in where it's going to fall on my leg compared to where it's drafted. I know from experience that that's not going to be a huge problem for me. If I wanted to, I could certainly do some more grading there, but it hasn't been a problem. This is a knit that stretches pretty well. I'm not going to worry too much about that. And then the final thing I'll do is all of these notches, I'm going to notch them outward rather than only inward, because I generally forget to do them when they are notched in, but if I notch them out for myself, I generally remember, and I would like to remember. I'm going to actually give myself a text box there. I'm going to say plus 3 inches. You go right there, and I'm going to do Control C to copy it, and then Control V to paste it. I'm going to put it right there. Control V to paste it. Ooh, what have I done? Control Z to undo that. And then drag it over here. I really like adding all these annotations. I do it whenever I do this on paper as well, because it really helps me remember what I did and know how to fix it if the muslin doesn't go quite right. Or, later if I decide, you know what, I don't want a 5-inch inseam, I want a 7-inch inseam, or I want a 3-inch inseam, I'll remember what I did and be able to adjust it better. So right here, there is a tool, drawing tools. It's here in this comments toolbar. And if I click on it, the first choice up at the top is line. And I can click with my right mouse button anywhere I want and pull along and make a line. And if I click again, it's done. And I can move this line basically anywhere I want. I can change the color of it right here if I wanted to do that. I could change the thickness of it right here if I wanted to do that. There is a tool over here in this right-hand toolbar under More Tools called Measure. Every time I have tried to use this, it has crashed my Adobe. So we are going to try it and see if it crashes my Adobe here. But before I do, I'm going to hit Save. I'm just going to do File Save, or you can also do Control S. And it's going to give me some prompts here. I keep it in my Women Patterns folder in my Daily Sews and Stuff Google Drive. And it's already popped up the title that it's already saved by, and I'm just going to click Save again. And it's going to say, oh no, you've already done this. Do you really want to save it? Yeah, I do. I really want to replace that file. I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, now let's try the measure tool. Click the measuring tool, and you put the X at one line, and then draw it down to the other. And I am aiming for a distance of 3 inches. So I'm watching the corner down there till I get 3 inches. And I can click again and then right click and complete measurements. Now also, I can turn on rulers that may help me with certain measurements too, but I don't want those right now. This is fairly simple, pretty straightforward. I am moving that line down here. My leg is still going to be in this same general shape, and I am not going to worry too much about adjusting where that ends.
Here you see at 8 times speed me adding a text box that tells me I'm taking off an inch from that rise, and I'm going to use the connected lines to use my left mouse and click, 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 click all along, tracing the line where it exists, and then I'm going to drag it down using that measuring tool 1 inch, and then I will connect the line I just made to the crotch point in a new curve. I'll do this on all 3 pieces, and then I will also do it later on the band itself. I'll show you this in more detail whenever I do this on the projector.
While I'm here looking at these pieces, I'm going to use the connected line to point my notches out so that I will remember to do them, otherwise I will not. Right. And I know that looks like a mess. Oops. Well, that kind of is a mess. I know that looks like a mess, but I find it helpful. If it just becomes confusing for you, no need to do it.
That will hopefully let you see what I am looking at. There's a bit over here that you won't be able to see, but I think it will be enough to make this work. So I'm going to begin by opening the pattern that I need. All I really need the letter file for is for the tutorial and for choosing what size I need, which is something we did on the computer screen, so I'm not going to go over that again. But basically, I do this in much the same way. I put a piece of paper down if I need to in order to see, and I can highlight and everything just the exact same way. This I do prefer to do while sitting at my computer versus projected over here. But my favorite thing to do is to do these adjustments here rather than on the computer screen. Start by taking out the extra sizes, and I can close that pane. Go ahead and type my 28.5 zoom. Yours will be different, remember. And I'm not going to go full screen. I have a few choices here. I can just work with it on my gridded mat, which might be preferable. I can use a plain sheet of white paper to better show different areas. Or, what I've also done before is used a big roll of white paper in order to see a lot of it at once, more easily. And I think that's what I'll do today, just to make it easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. Okay, so my keyboard, I'm going to keep over here, and my mouse I'm certainly going to keep over here. I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these things that we did on the computer screen so that I can redo them the way I would normally do it, so that I can basically start it over. Hold on, I need some magnets. I'm going to hold this paper down so it's not distorting my image. And I'm going to do a quick tip video on these magnets one day. I just have metal on the back, really nice and easy. Throw down some magnets and have my pattern weighted. Over here, I'm going to open up the comment toolbar. I'm going to go ahead and close this though. That just gets in my way. And I need a connected line. Now, something I find easier at this real life size than I do on the computer screen is this part where I'm going to trace this line. And I don't know, I mean, other than the size, there's not a real difference. But it helps me, I feel like I'm more accurate this way. Or maybe I care less when it's this way. So I am kind of pushing my paper down. I want to make sure that I'm not distorting my image in any way. And I am using my left mouse button to click along this line, using the center of these crosshairs to know where it's clicking. And I am just following the line that is already here. I'm not changing this pattern, I'm just adjusting the height. Alright, when I get to the end, I'm going to right click and say complete. So I'm going to drag him down. This ruler is 2 inches wide, and there is a line down the middle that shows me where 1 inch is. So I'm kind of lining it up the best I can right here in the center. And then I know that this line going vertically is where I need to line up my line that's going to go horizontally to actually match up at 1 inch. So now I'm going to get this guy and drag him back up to where the right side is still touching the right side of the pattern, and the line is going to touch the edge of the ruler at that center vertical line. Now, something else that is a problem is that these notches are going to be directly on the line, and that's going to make it awfully hard to know where the line is and what's the edge of my pattern and what my notch is. Alright, I moved my notches just out of my way so that I can work with this line here, and then I'm going to bring them back in, and I'm going to shift them down a little bit from where my cut line is. This notch is approximately 1 inch down from the cut line in the beginning. So that's what I'm going to replicate. I'm going to bring it over here 1 inch from my new cut line. And then I'll do the same thing here. Line up this ruler where I can go 1 inch from my new cut line. And then I am going to work on this last bit here. I'm just rotating around until that back contour band is just where I want it. And I'm going to bring me some magnets this way. Get this last bit done. So I need a connected line. Okay, right click complete. And you come down an inch. All right, we're lining up here and on the fold. Again, this one has fallen short about 1/4 of an inch. And we're just gonna grab a straight line, start in this corner, and go up. Okay, done. I have all the pieces altered. I can now throw my fabric on here, cut out a pair of peg leg shorties, sew them up, and have another pair of shorts. In a future video, I will go ahead and cut out a pattern and sew it up with you, but that is not the focus of today. So that's it. It's pretty easy, right? Digital altering is not that much different than paper altering when we're talking about a height adjustment. It's pretty easy, whether you're doing it on your projection or on your computer screen. Try it out. Let me know what you think. Leave some comments down below if you have questions or if you're as excited about this as I am, because I'm super excited about this. I mean, part of that might be because I'm 4'11", and so I am always adjusting for height. But it's a really awesome concept that lets us continue to use projection, which is so much better, and still be able to make the alterations that we need. That, I mean, that's the whole reason you make your own clothes, or at least it is for me, that I can make things that actually fit me. So I don't want to lose that ability by using a projector. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Here's my son telling you to subscribe.
Thanks for watching my videos. Like, subscribe, and comment.